Welcome back to the Gospel Guys. I'm excited to be back here today for episode 74, Storm Sleeping and Sea Silencing. I'm Jonathan.
And I'm Matt.
And today we're going to be going through Matthew 8, 23 through 28, Mark 4, 35 through 41, and Luke 8, 22 through 26. And so, actually, also Mark 5, verse 1, I guess.
Yeah,
I skipped that part. So
it kind of ties in with that part. Yeah. So we'll get started. I'm a little bit allergy right now, as you can tell, Jonathan. So excuse my lower voice or whatever, but we decided, heck, we're just still going to do this. I don't care.
Yeah,
I can still talk.
Yeah, when we schedule them, we only have so much time that we have with me traveling and you working all the time. So, but we're thankful to do it whatever time we do have.
What do you think about me just reading? Let me read the first half of this text, and then we can go through, and then I'll read the second half, because it kind of breaks up here. So this is out of the Christian Standard Bible. On that day, when evening had come, as he got into the boat, his disciples followed him. He told them, "Let's cross over to the other side of the sea." So they set out. They left the crowd and took him along, since he was in the boat, and other boats were with him. Suddenly a great windstorm arose down on the sea, and the waves were breaking over the boat, so that the boat was already swamped and was in danger by the waves. Jesus was sleeping in the stern on the cushion as they were sailing. Yeah. So we're going to kind of follow.
Which passage was that out of Matthew?
Matthew. That's all three.
Okay. Yeah. Like Mark gives a couple more random things, and the King James. So I don't know.
It's probably in here. Just maybe it says it a little differently. But
possibly.
It's all three of them kind of input this story, and we're following through Mark's account. As you noticed, last episode we were in Matthew 13, and now we're in Matthew 8. So, but Mark continues on that day, and you might ask what day that was, and it's the day that he told the parables.
Yeah.
So this is later in the day.
Yeah, the same day the parable stories.
Because he says when evening had come.
Yeah. Let's see. The only difference in the verses that you read that's different in Luke. Luke calls it jeopardy. They were in great jeopardy in the King James Bible. So luckily for them, not final jeopardy
instead of danger.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so
yeah. So we know it's evening. It's later. For evening, it's not quite like completely dark. But I would say that this episode or this section takes place at least at the dusk.
Yeah, so after
evening.
6.
Yeah, somewhere around there. A little bit of sun, but almost gone. Jesus, probably tired from what he had just been done teaching the whole day.
Did you happen to look up how long it would take to get from one side of the sea to the other?
I did not.
I didn't either. I didn't think about it until just now. I'm like, I wonder how, because the only reason I'm thinking about that, let's say they got in at 7 o'clock, how long was Jesus asleep? How long, was he a quick, 5 minutes in and I'm out?
Power nap.
Or was it like through the night, it's a long trek. So what sea was this?
I would say that it's probably the Sea of Galilee.
Okay.
And I don't know what the diameter of that would be, but it also would depend on if they're, and as we'll see it as we see in the text, there's a storm. It might have put them to the other side more quickly.
Yeah. But it says crossing the Sea of Galilee in modern boats would be about 2 hours.
That's probably with motors and stuff.
Yeah, so I would say it says kayaking or rowing would take 6 hours. So
it's pretty long.
Yeah, I'd imagine it probably four to 5 hours. It probably took. Yeah, the little things in life. So Jesus didn't get a long sleep, even if he slept the whole trip. He wouldn't have got a long. He wouldn't have got a long sleep.
He would not. And we see this Jesus doing this a lot, is where he kind of goes and he takes these little breaks from the crowd, spending some time with just his 12. It doesn't seem, though, here that he knew what was going to happen, but it doesn't seem like his intention was to teach them. He was like, let's get in the boat. We're going to sail over the other side. I'm going to take a nap because I'm tired.
Yeah. I don't know that he knew that there was going to be like he was going to have to wake up and calm the storm. I think that
In his humanity side, no, but
Yeah.
I don't know how there's like a wrestling with that God and humanity.
The Holy Spirit knew, and so whether the Holy Spirit revealed it to him,
Sure.
but the Holy Spirit also allowed him to sleep, and so I know it's one of those things. These are just thoughts that come through our head. So, but yeah, because when he woke, well, we're not there yet, so we'll talk about when he wakes up. So.
And so as the narrative continues, we even see that other boats were with him. They were following him out there. It doesn't say why, if they wanted more teaching, but there were other people other than just his 12 with him.
Well, and so in the King James, Mark 4, it says, when they sent the multitude away, or when they sent away the multitude, they took him on a ship, and there were also with him other little ships. And so probably he sent the multitude away, and they paid attention to where he was going, and they followed him. Yeah, I would imagine. And you got to think about this. Even when you're following, this is kind of a side note, I need to write this down, but even when you're following Jesus, there's storms coming.
Yeah.
Matter of fact, especially when you're following Jesus, there's always a storm on the horizon.
Yeah.
And so,
of course, whether that's society, you know, pressuring you, whether that's evil forces spiritually, like pressuring you, there's always going to be pushback.
Yeah, I think people think like, well, once I'm a Christian, everything's like good. Like I don't have to deal with the battles, I don't have to deal with the struggles. But even when you're in 100% in God's will, you still have all those things.
Yeah.
Matter of fact, you have them probably more to try to get you out of God's will. Our pastor actually talked about that yesterday, talking to graduates, just like, hey, nobody in here's life turned out the way they expected it to. They may be in the craft that they chose, but they envisioned their journey there differently.
Yeah.
And that's very, very true statement. And so, these people, when they follow Jesus, I'd imagine whoever followed Jesus on whatever boats they were in, they probably thought, pun intended, smooth sailing.
Yeah.
And then a storm comes and they're like, what's going on? We're following the Messiah. We're following Jesus. Why is this happening to us? And, that's the same thing that I ask God a lot of times. And God's like, is my grace not sufficient for you? It's probably things that you would probably ask God sometime, or anybody that's been a Christian a long time. You get to points in your life, you're like, Lord, why is this happening to me?
Sure.
Even Job, naked came I out of my mother's womb, naked shall I return, blessed be the name of the Lord. That's kind of the mentality we have to have even through the storms of life.
Yeah. And the 12, they're sitting there. They probably had an average Jewish life. It's probably doing their trade, if they were already off working by then. And then they thought, well, this seems exciting. Let's and they didn't know what was in store. They didn't know the martyrdom they would face and the
It's like, I'm using my vacation time for this.
Yeah. Yeah, but they had a lot coming to them that they didn't fully grasp it.
And it doesn't say that they turned back. It doesn't say anything. But if they stayed through the storm, they would have saw a miracle. Mm-hmm. If they turned around when the storm began, they missed out on the blessing.
Yeah.
Now, it wasn't a blessing necessarily that Jesus was like, Jesus wasn't trying to teach a lesson. Jesus was just trying to sleep.
Yeah. It turned into a lesson.
Yeah, it did turn into a lesson. So,
excuse me. So we continue, and it says there was a great windstorm. The CSB says great windstorm, and it's literally like a mega storm. And that would be the Greek, a mega storm. It's just a mega of a windstorm. It's a huge storm. And we'll contrast this later on in the text, but for now, they're in a windstorm. The Sea of Galilee, its location, was known for getting these type of squalls, these type of random storms. It's just the way it was situated. It was a perfect place for these type of storms to happen. I don't know if it was the elevation or what it was. So all of a sudden, it just took off. But the storm had. I don't think the storm was part of the miracle in the sense that we'll see here that he calms the storm, but I don't think that the storm was the miracle. I think Jesus, I don't want to use the word reacted to the storm, but he used the storm to create a miracle.
Yeah.
Is that fair to say? Like I don't think it was like,
I don't think Jesus didn't start the storm to stop the storm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was like, here's the storm. I'm going to do a miracle from the natural order of things. Because he's doing what he's showing us is he's showing that he has power over the supernatural.
Yeah. Jesus, he probably just being outdoorsman as he was, knew a storm was coming. Like, you get in the boat, and I'd say that the disciples did too. They were fishermen. They knew the horizon. They knew they could look at the sky. Definitely, they were probably better than meteorologists are today because they're never right. And so, but the disciples probably saw when they got in the boat 6, 7. I shouldn't have said 6, 7. 7, 8 o'clock.
Yeah.
But 7, 8 o'clock at night, they probably could look at the sky and say there may be a storm coming. Mm-hmm. And they may have said, Jesus, there may be a storm coming, and he said, we're going to go.
Yeah.
This is the way the Spirit's telling me to go. We need to get in the boat and we need to go. And so he went knowing there could have been a storm, but I don't know that he knew the extent of the storm that would be.
Yeah.
So.
And I misspoke just a minute ago. I said he has power over in this episode. He has power over the natural, but we'll see him have power over the supernatural. Because storms were natural.
Yeah.
The spirits that we see.
Yeah, when you said supernatural, I did think
natural.
about. Yeah, I did think about. I was like, I guess storms could be considered, but I think
having power over the spiritual realm, that would be a supernatural.
Yeah, he had supernatural power over natural things.
Yes.
Yeah. So, but I really don't know. Mm-hmm. I just look at this as I think the warning signs were there that a storm was coming, just like they are for us. I don't think it was a pop-up shower like we have. I think it was a storm. Mm-hmm. I think it was an intentional storm, maybe not by Jesus, but I think it was an intentional storm by the Father to show Jesus and to test the disciples' faith, maybe.
Yeah,
and so.
Yeah, and the storm was so heavy that we see that it's the boat's just getting filled with water. Like it says, so the boat was already being swamped and was in danger. So anybody that knows anything about water and sinking, if your boat fills with water, it's going to sink.
Yeah, water's not supposed to be inside the boat.
Right.
I know Chelsea and I were driving back from Pensacola, and I think about this storm, and I think about we were driving back, and just a storm hit. I mean, I'd never experienced such a storm that I had to stop. I had to pull over the side of the road because I couldn't see. Because and that was in a car with a windshield.
Yeah.
Imagine like you're in it, like you're out in the elements, and if you couldn't see how terrifying that would be. So the end of the story, you think about, man, these disciples, they've seen everything Jesus could do. How could I was like, it was,
he hasn't done this yet.
Yeah, he hadn't done this.
Yeah.
And sure, he turned water into wine. He healed a leper, or whatever. But now their life is in danger. Mm-hmm. Like they didn't have anywhere else to turn. I guess.
Yeah, and he's even by this point raised the dead. The widow from Nain's son.
Yeah,
he's actually raised him from the dead at this point. So,
yeah, we're pretty hard on the disciples, like we are in Israel. But really, what it comes down to is, we are them. We're people. People are people. No matter what generation they're in, we can look back then and say, "Man, people back then are worse." Sodom and Gomorrah, this and that, and it's like really, you look at today, it's no different. These disciples, they didn't have any faith. Where's their faith? It's like, well, we're late on a bill. Yeah. It's like, Lord, why hast thou forsaken me?
Yeah.
So that's kind of the way. That's the way it is. We almost look at God as a genie instead of a savior. So.
Mm-hmm. So let me. Well, I just think this is funny how Mark puts this in here that he's sleeping on a cushion. I just don't know why. When I read that, I've heard this story before, but I always just thought that like It's just funny. He's like, Jesus is going to get a nap. He's going to be comfortable.
Yeah,
He wants to rest his head on something soft.
Yeah. It says it's pillow in the King James, but
okay.
And I looked up the different words, and it just means padded. Probably hay with a blanket over it. I don't know,
Yeah.
but
Feathers or something,
yeah,
maybe.
yeah.
Who
So
knows?
yeah, there's nothing wrong with being comfortable when you're resting. And so
So let me read the rest of the text, and we can get into this. So the disciples came and woke him up, saying, Master, Master, Lord, save us. Teacher, don't you care that we're going to die? He said to them, Why are you afraid, you of little faith? Then he got up and rebuked the winds and the raging waves and said to the sea, Silence, be still. The wind ceased, and there was a great calm. Then he said to them, Why are you afraid? Do you still have no faith? They were fearful and amazed, asking one another, What kind of man is this? He commands even the winds and waves of the sea, and they obey him. And he sailed to the other side, to the region of the Gadarenes, which is opposite Galilee.
yeah,
Gadarenes. There's three different words for this, but Gadarenes. So
yeah. And so this is I have a few different things. What verse you starting at here?
that was Matthew 8:25, Mark 4:38, and Luke 8:24, all the way to the end of this.
Mark 4:38. So yeah. So Jesus was asleep, which was fine. I think, Master, carest thou not that we perish? Like, what a question. It's like, don't you care that we die? I guess my thing is this: he would have died too. I mean, it's not like just part of the ship was going to sink and his cushioned pad was going to be like, oh, it'll keep floating. Now, if God wanted that to happen, it could have. But I mean, what I'm saying is they were so self-focused. They didn't even think about him. They're just like, don't you care that we're going to die? Maybe the we included him, but they weren't thinking about him. They're thinking about themselves.
Yeah.
And so, I just think that's such a funny, don't you care that we're getting ready to perish? And so I don't know why. I think that just tickles me.
Yeah.
But then he arose and rebuked. The word rebuked means basically he restrained it. He just stopped it.
Yeah.
And so
I think the authors want us to look at this and say the chaos of the storm is linked to the chaos of the disciples, and the calmness of the storm is linked to the calmness of Christ. I think they want to see that the disciples who had little faith at this point were still struggling with a lot of these things. They still had that chaos sin that they were working through. They still had that fear. They didn't fear the Lord in the way that we should be fearing the Lord. They were scared. They were scared what was going on. Where Jesus, he's sleeping. He's not scared at all. He doesn't even wake up until the storm is ensuing, right? It's not like he wakes up before the storm. He's sleeping in the middle of the storm. His calmness is all already there.
Yeah, and I'm actually writing that down. That's really good. Yeah. But I think about this. What would you do? Like, I want you to use your brain, and you're a fisherman. Mm-hmm. You've been through storms before. You know what to do in the storm.
Yeah. And you're a good swimmer.
Yeah.
They probably were all good swimmers and knew what to do.
What is, like, I guess the question that would come to my mind, and this is like just playing with my thought, God, do you not expect us to do anything about situations?
Yeah.
I mean, and I think there are seasons that, I do believe that we're not like just these robots. I do believe that we should pray in faith, and we should follow our prayer with some action. So I guess what was wrong with their action of doing everything they could to make sure the boat didn't sink? I mean, this is just a thought that goes through my head. Like, they got kind of scolded here, and I mean, I guess in my mentality, I'd say, Jesus, what did you expect us to do? Just, but I guess he could say, lay down with me.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I guess. So I guess to answer my own question, do what Jesus is doing. Mm-hmm. Do what the Lord's doing. Don't take over the steering wheel. Don't take over the ship. if Jesus saw to it that he could rest, then you can rest. But if Jesus is up and moving, then you need to be up and moving. I think a lot of times we rest when we're supposed to be moving, and we move when we're supposed to be resting, and we're taking the responsibility off of him and putting it on ourselves. So I think that makes sense now that I think about it.
Yeah,
just do what Jesus did.
And to the Jew, the sea was like a very unknown, chaotic place. I've talked about that in the podcast before. And so this would have been a highly dangerous, chaotic situation for them. Like you and I could go out and kayak, and I'm not really afraid of the river or the sea. Like to me, there's nothing that comes out of there that's fearful to me. But for them, it was a fearful place because it was always linked to. It's like the wilderness. The wilderness was always like a place like that. Like, I don't want to go to the wilderness. The sea was the same way. But the idea here is that him saying like, why are you afraid? You have little faith. It's almost like, haven't you heard me speak up until this point of all the things I've said? This must happen before this must happen. All the things he's said in the past. It just seems like they kind of went in one ear and out the other to them.
Yeah.
But I want us to look and make I'm going to make a small point application. Matthew puts this, why are you afraid? You have little faith, before the rebuking and silencing of the storm, where Mark and Luke put it after. And I thought that was interesting that one puts it before and one puts it after. And when I read this, I was like, it's almost like bookend. Like Jesus has us protected before the storms in our lives hit, and even after the storms in our lives hit. He's there before and after. He's not just there before, one or the other.
And he was there through it.
And through it, yeah.
Yeah. And so, he was there through it. And that's the thing. There were multiple seasons. Like I did a sermon years ago. I wouldn't say it was a good one, but it was a sermon though. But about different times that people had to go through things instead of delivered from things. The disciples had to go through the storm. Jesus had to go through the wilderness. Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego had to go through the fire. They didn't get delivered from these things. They got delivered through them. And a lot of times we try to get delivered from things and we don't learn the lessons that God is going to teach us through them. What did the disciples learn? That Jesus Christ had even power over the sea. He had power over the natural things of this world. Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego learned that, I love that story. He says, Nebuchadnezzar, our God will deliver you from thy hand. But if not, we're not going to bow to your idol. And he threw him in the fire, and they're the first people. They're the first people, at least in that generation, that got to walk with Jesus, like in person. But they couldn't have done that unless they went through the fire. Had they bowed, they would have never experienced that.
Yeah. But
because they got thrown in the fire, they had that much faith in Jesus. Jesus walked with them, and Nebuchadnezzar saw Jesus through them. So things like that, sometimes, we're all there. I do the same thing. Lord, deliver me out of this issue. Sometimes we should be praying, Lord, deliver us through this issue. Lord, if you want us, if there's nothing to be learned here and this is just a problem, I pray that you would take it away. But Lord, if there's something that you're trying to do in my life, shave something off, burn something off, draw me closer to you, Lord, I pray that you would help me through this problem, through this season, through this issue, that on the other side I will, I'll have faith that I didn't have. So, think about the faith that Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego walked away with. Of course, Jesus Christ himself went through the wilderness for 40 days. Think about how the trust that he walked away with, even for his own spirit, the trust that the disciples walked away with. Look, I'll get in the boat with Jesus anytime. Now, and I don't think the next time a storm would hit. Matter of fact, it's later when Peter walks on water, isn't it? So it doesn't say they were fearful for the storm there. Matter of fact, it said that the storm was happening and Peter requested to step out. So they learned through this as well. So,
Yeah.
Side note: I need to write some of this stuff down. It's preachable.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
Just a few Old Testament Psalms I wanted to pull out of this that these disciples would have known this, and if they had fully placed their belief that Jesus was God, they probably would have had this more understanding of this. But this comes out of Psalm 89:9. It says, "You rule the raging sea; when its waves surge, you still them." And Psalm 107:29 says, "He stilled the storm to a whisper, and the waves of the sea were hushed." So you can see these. It's talking about God, but it's almost like pointing toward a time where Jesus would fulfill some of these prophecies.
Well, and I think like your reference of the chaos of the storm represented the chaos of the disciples, the calmness of the storm represented the calmness of Jesus. I think if you look at Psalm 46:10 is my life verse, one of my favorite. Be still and know that I am God. It's almost like he talks about calming the storm over and over again, but then he says, "Hey, you be still." So I think your reference point to the disciples and Jesus is very valid, because I think if you look through the Psalms like you were just doing, God talks about calming storms, but then just randomly Psalm 46, be still, you be still, and know that I am God. Moses in Exodus 14, he said, "Stand still and see the salvation of the Lord. For the enemies you see today, you shall see again forever no more. The Lord will fight for you, and you'll hold your peace." But even through that, Moses still had to lift his hands over the Red Sea. But the people got to see God move. He was telling them to shut up, basically.
Yeah.
Because they were whining and nagging, So anyway, I think what you said, I'm really mulling that through my head. So that's good. That's good.
Thanks.
I don't know if you said it or if someone else said it, but I'm going to give you the credit for the rest of your life. So
I don't remember.
I was just going to say you said it.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah,
Usually I try to give credit where credit's due.
Yeah. I will. I'll give credit to you until I forget that you said it.
Until you found it somewhere else.
No, until I forget you said it, and then I'll just start saying it like it's mine.
Yeah.
So.
And they, like I said, they continue. And Mark and Luke put this after. Why are you afraid? Do you still have no faith? And they had seen Jesus do a lot of things, and he's kind of like, "Come on, guys, you've seen me raise people from the dead."
Well, he says it different every okay, so I think Matthew and Mark, he says, "O ye of little faith," and in Luke he says, "Where is your faith?" And so he changes it up. I don't know that he changes it up. What was heard is changed up.
Yeah. The author's intent.
The author's intent, yeah, and they all say the same thing. It's just like one is a question mark, two are statements.
Yeah.
And he may have done both. He may have said, "Oh, you little faith, where is your faith?" He may have done both, and that's okay. I just think the word faith here means trust in God. That's what it means. Trust or confidence in God or in Christ.
Yeah.
And so that's what that actually means. So he's saying, where is your trust? I put you on this boat. Basically, what I'm looking at is, I told you to get in the boat. I told you to sail to the other side. If I said we're going to get to the other side, where is your faith?
Yeah.
I really think that's probably the narrative. I need to write that down too. I didn't write a lot down here. Like things come to my mind, but it's like he said, if I asked you to get in the boat with me, don't you trust me that I'm going to get you to the other side? And they didn't, and I wouldn't have either, and maybe you wouldn't have either. Maybe you had more faith than I do, but I would have probably been one of the babies trying to be, because I don't want to drown. Shoot, So
Yeah.
I don't like water as it is.
We all think we would have done something differently. We probably wouldn't have.
I always try to. I hate to say this. I always try to look at the worst case. Like, this is what I would have done on the worst day, because I have the worst days. It depends. Where was I at this time? Well, the disciples were exhausted.
Yeah.
They had just heard a long sermon by Jesus on parables, and their minds were probably like, like completely blown to where, I've said this. I can work an 8-hour day with my body, and honest to goodness, I can preach for 45 minutes and feel about like I worked an 8-hour day with my body. Like it exhausts you, the mental what you're putting into mentally. And anyone who works a job that you have to prepare something like that, it would probably think the same way. There's that mental stress that they had. They were trying to figure out what in the world is Jesus even saying in these parables. And then he's like, all right, guys, let's get in the boat and go. It's like, well, there's no rest. It's just he goes and rests and they stay. So anyway, so, they were in a busy season. And, they still could rest in Jesus, but they just didn't.
Sure.
Like I wouldn't have.
Yeah. And the narrative continues. They were fearful and amazed, asking one another, what kind of man is this? And I underlined man. It's interesting. They just saw him do this, and it's like, why are they still calling him man?
Yeah, exactly. Well, he was
man.
Fully man,
but I think
fully God.
The implication is that they are questioning, like, how can a human being do this?
Yeah.
I don't think they were saying anything more than that. But it seems that they should have saying to one another, this really is God.
Yeah.
But they don't. We'll see a group of people that do say he is God. And interestingly enough, though, I think the contrast is going to be in the future and in the rest of this chapter. It's actually demons that say he's God.
Yeah, always. Yeah,
it's interesting.
So the word, I think this kind of ties us to the word obey means submit.
Mm-hmm.
Man, if we could just learn to submit to God like nature does. We are so stubborn now.
Yeah.
Okay, I am so stubborn. I'm not going to speak for anyone listening or even for you, but I am so stubborn that I just think I got it figured out. And what worked last time doesn't always work. Matter of fact, ask Moses how that worked for him. He said, hit the rock. He hit the rock. Second time he said, speak to the rock. He hit the rock. It worked, but it cost him,
Yeah.
And so it's a matter of don't always try to do things the same way, but always be in submission to God, and he'll tell you how to do it, even if it's different. One day it may look like this, the next day it may look like this, but both work because it's not you doing it, it's him.
Yeah.
And so,
Excuse me. And to finish out this last, unless you have more, I was just going to read the rest of the little Mark 5:1. He sailed to the other side, to the region of the Gadarenes, which is opposite Galilee. And I think that each author has a different Gadarenes, Gerasenes, Gadara. I think they all have this different saying. And I want to, unless you have something about it, I want to explain why we see that. Why it's that all three authors are using a different city name.
I do. Since you're here, I do want to point this out.
Mm-hmm.
Gadarenes means reward at the end.
Oh, interesting.
Think about that.
Interesting.
Reward at the end, and that could be tied to the storm that they went through. If you go through the storm, there's a reward at the end, or that could be what's getting ready to happen here. So
yeah,
you looking something up?
Yeah, I want to see. I think maybe Mark and Luke use the same. Let me see here.
I know Mark did. So let me see.
8:26. Gerasenes. That must be.
Who's
that's
that?
Luke. Luke and Mark, I think, say Gerasenes, and Matthew says Gadarenes.
See, it just says it says
Gadara.
In King James, it says, one second, I'll just read it to you. Into the country of the Gadarenes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And so you might ask, like, if these guys are all inspired by the Holy Spirit, which we believe that, why are they contradicting? Well, it's not contradicting. The writers are concerned with what the text teaches, not so much the exact location where it happens.
Well, also it's what people called it. Like,
exactly.
I say New Orleans, but people that live there, Nolans. So I mean, some people will say Louisville. Some people call it Louisville, and you can say, well, they're wrong, and you're right. It doesn't matter. But here at Gadarenes, so it was also called, and here's the actual, also called Gergesenes.
Yeah.
Gergesenes was called capital of Perea, situated opposite side of the lake of Gennesaret. So it had more than one name, and that's okay. It's what the people put, but it's also the interpreters. I mean, whenever they wrote it, whenever they interpreted from the original language, they could have used either one and been correct.
Yeah.
It wouldn't have mattered.
And when scribes were copying down, I'll give you a good example. You and I are both from Fairmont, but Fairmont used to be called Middletown. But you and I don't say, "Oh, I'm from Middletown."
No.
We use the common phrase. So when the scribes were
I
copying
remember the Middletown
down,
Mall.
Yeah, it's back up now. But they could have put like the current or for when they were rewriting the current name of the city, not the name that didn't exist anymore.
Yeah, this is very unimportant things.
Oh, I know.
Yeah, but
These are things, unfortunately, that people like to grab onto and be like, "Oh, this is why the Bible can't be accurate."
Yeah, nitpick. Yeah, I'm just saying this isn't going to keep you in or out of hell. That's all I'm trying to say. But it is important just to be able to see that. I didn't even see the Gergesenes thing because it's not in the King James at all. But another version could have just translated it. But both are right. It's not wrong because it had an also called, just like we do here in America. Yeah. So
yeah,
they actually changed a city in Tennessee. I can't remember what it's called. I think it was called Lake City, and they changed it to Rocky Top.
Okay.
Just because they wanted to. But I guarantee there are people there that still call it Lake City because I think it's Lake City. I can't remember.
Well, it's like what the I'm going to probably say this wrong, but you and I grew up calling it Mount McKinley up in Alaska, but then they changed it to Mount Denali.
I have no idea.
And then I think they changed it back to Mount McKinley, or like Gulf of America, Gulf of Mexico. Like just things change names like now.
And pronunciations on things change. I'm trying to think. There's Carnegie.
Oh yeah,
Carnegie or Carnegie. There's all kinds of things. I mean, you could kind of go over and over again. Caramel.
Yeah.
And so, but what we're trying to say is the pronunciation of these words is about as important as that.
Yeah. Don't make this the thing that keeps you from Jesus. So
that was a rabbit trail and a half, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So, but
that's all I've
got.
I guess we're done.
Yeah.
We will pick up in Mark 5:2, and the other two Gospels will also have some input there too. So we'll pick up there next time.
Looking forward to it.
Yeah. And if you need to email us anything, we love to get emails. thegospelguys5@gmail.com.
Gospelguys5@gmail.com. If you have any questions about the gospel, questions about churches, maybe you live in an area and you're like, I just don't know a good church to go to there. We'd love to do some research for you, try to find a good church that teaches and preaches the Word of God biblically. And we'd love to tap you into those churches. And if you have any questions, just or if you just want to say, "Hey, appreciate you guys, keep it up," we'll take that too.
Yeah. Well, Jonathan, it's always a pleasure.
Always a
Until
pleasure.
next time.
God bless.
God bless.